All right. How's it going, everyone? My name is Patrick Stern, and I'm the Senior Account Manager with Spotlight Reporting. I know certainly a lot of you I've met in person. Hope you're doing well. And, we're doing something a little bit different here with this webinar currently. And what we want to do is kind of bring a little bit more focus on you guys. And so I'm really excited today to be talking with Aiken Henderson, who's a great firm up in Calgary, Alberta. And what we're going to be talking about today is a little bit more insight in just their overall playbook, given the new environment that we're in and how they've shifted kind of a lot of their processes, but also in how they've used Spotlight reporting and a couple different tools, and obviously their team changes as well, to be able to really promote growth, in this environment. And that's kind of a hard thing that a lot of people can fathom right now, as a lot of firms are kind of pulling back and rethinking a lot of things. So today, again, you can see right here, I have Clayton Aiken, with me today. And really a pleasure to actually have you, Clayton. Thanks for taking the time and everything. So
yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so with that in mind, we have a quick little agenda. This will be a quick kind of webinar, just half an hour or so, just kind of spitballing and kind of talking about a couple different things. Obviously, your sales and marketing best practices, but really, your playbook and kind of where you guys have pivoted and everything. But we'll talk about results and where you guys are seeing top revenue generators and your recommendations. But I would love to get kind of an overall introduction of you guys and the practice that you guys are building, and obviously your backgrounds and where you've been coming from.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. We started back in 2013. George Henderson and I started Aiken Henderson. So we're going on, I guess, 7 years now. And we started out, as a basic compliance firm, right? We bought a little nest egg, and it grew very quickly, just due to us being out in the market and people liking the idea of having some good tax expertise on a really small and intimate team,
Sure.
us having come from bigger firms, right? So we had some good successes there.
Nice.
Fast forward, we added some really high level talent with Carol Sadler as a partner. A few years after that, she's a home run hitter in US and cross-border tax, one of the top in Canada. And so she's joined our team. And then, as it happened, we started having sort of senior practitioners coming to us going, hey, I want what you got. I want to come and work with you. Or sorry, not senior practitioners, senior managers from other firms. And so we hired one or two of them and formed some strategic alliances as we went. And our firm was really modeled on only having top level resources in-house and then sort of outsourcing a lot of our preparation function. And we've stuck with that largely. It's worked in some cases and hasn't in others. And so, it's been a constant moving adjustment. But fast forward to 2017, a couple crucial things happened. The government sort of changed the way that we were doing all our tax planning, or tried to. And so 2017 was a big year for change in Canada. And then I had my second child and wanted to be home a little bit more. And so, we started thinking about how do we take this to the next level? And what really do our clients want? Because we've always been severely focused on value creation. And that's why we've remained pretty much a tax shop throughout. So yeah, things changed in 2017, and we're really focused on value creation. And we quickly realized that in order to get into the higher value add services, such as forecasting and really having meaningful discussions with our clients about their businesses and moving them forward and really being helpful, we needed to control the data that was coming in, the inflow of data. Because by and large, private companies up to a certain revenue number and even beyond that have real trouble with their bookkeeping function, and it's hard for business owners to extract useful information. So we started our transition back in 2017 to being a cloud-based, high value add firm that really helps people automate their finance departments and understand their businesses in a way that they're not able to otherwise. And so that's where we came from, and that's so that's basically where we're at.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's certainly a great story. And obviously there's some really deep talent, and I can attest to that. Just having worked with you guys, it's really great to see what George certainly has been able to do, especially on the app stack side. You guys are really, very much technology driven. So it's great to see what's going on, but it's great to know that there's a human side and that deep bench and experience that you're bringing to the table as well. So
Yeah.
again, thank you for coming and joining. So let's dive right in. Again, what we're going to be doing is kind of diving into what you see as best practices around kind of sales and marketing in this new environment, and really what your playbook kind of has been, how you guys arrived at that, and the results that you're obviously seeing as well. And it sounds like we're going to take a look at a sample report as well here. And then we'll talk about kind of the key features that you've been using, obviously with Spotlight, but what you would recommend firms and also companies as well consider in this environment. So with that in mind, let's just, let's start off with kind of, I like this kind of just very simple question. What did you see as kind of your pivot? And where did you guys really pivot, especially, in March, leading into
Sure.
April and everything like that? I mean,
With
you
COVID.
guys, obviously with that, but, this might have been in the making, some
Yeah.
time. It's really interesting to see a lot of firms also, this is kind of, it just got accelerated. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to hear kind of where you guys were heading and going.
Yeah, it's a great question. We were kind of COVID ready, and in a way, in terms of our top line, COVID's been pretty good to us, which is strange, right? Because a lot of our clients are suffering, and so it's really strange to say that. But we've got some really awesome pinch hitter clients that are just knocking it out of the park. And anyways, if you look back to 2017, we'd hired a culture firm called Crankset Group out of the US, and they're actually on our menu of services now available to our clients. We offer culture and leadership advisory services. And they helped us understand and write down and codify our vision, mission, and core values. And so anybody who's looking at redesigning their firm or moving it to a more modern place, you got to take a look at that stuff. And that all ties directly into your culture. Our vision at Aiken Henderson is to help entrepreneurs and business leaders build great companies. And so, if you sum that down into 2 or 3 words, it's like, we help entrepreneurs. That's what we do, right? Yeah. Yes, we'll do your tax returns. We're very, very good at that, but it's so much more than that. And so once you understand why you exist as a firm and what drives you, if it's, I'm here to fill out tax returns properly all day long, fine. That's your vision. Go for that. But really, it is understanding that, working with your team to understand what they want, and going through that process of understanding mission and vision, right? So that's where it all sort of started for us. Then, as you mentioned before, we get into this tech stack and layering on how do we work remotely effectively, not only for ourselves. I'm in my office today, but I'm 50% at home, or last week I was in my trailer in Golden, BC, riding my mountain bike and working.
Yeah.
And so it's really, how do we get there? We were ready for this pandemic when it came. We were ready to just say, okay, great. Everybody, you're working from home starting tomorrow for the next 3 months. And it wasn't a big transition for us. So we were fortunate in that way. But what it allowed us to do, as soon as everybody gets home, it sort of resets your mindset. And we go back to vision. What is our vision? We help, right? We help. How can we help now? Right? Because a lot of people need a lot of help. And so we planned and strategized about how to get very, very helpful very, very quickly.
Sure. Well, and you guys went through a major transition kind of recently, because you guys were going down a path, at least a certain direction around the bookkeeping. And, we don't have to go into details and stuff like that, but was there a pivot and a shift with staffing that you guys had as far as the resources and the services that you wanted to provide?
Yeah, we'd started out outsourcing our bookkeeping function, and we've internalized it. And it's just, all that was to do is just to give a little bit more personalized touch, and use some of the tech tools that are available to us. So, it's all a learning journey, and you need to figure out what works for you. But I really the idea has shifted from we want to outsource everything, which is where we started at a
Yep.
prep level, to, hey, it's kind of nice to have a team around and be connected with your own internal team sort of all the time. And now we've started to grow our team. And I don't know if that's a function of we hit a critical mass in revenues,
Yep.
or we just couldn't provide the helpfulness that we wanted we couldn't achieve our vision while outsourcing certain things.
Mhm.
But really the direction that we're on now helps us stay in line with our vision. So.
Got it. So talk a little bit about your playbook now. I mean, how are you guys really helping, obviously, clients, especially current clients, but new clients, given this environment? And where have you seen kind of that potential? Because obviously this has been an iterative process, it sounds like,
Sure.
in a lot of different ways, and it always is. But, what have been those kind of, um, key learnings that have now kind of integrated into that overall mission that you were talking about and vision?
Yeah, I mean, staying on vision, be helpful. I mean, you nailed it. What are the ways that you help people? That is our playbook, help people.
Yeah.
But now where do we go with that? I'd started a meetup group back in February to just say, okay, to our X hundred clients, we're going to start teaching you about issues that are commonly misunderstood, that we regularly get phone calls. And I started a meetup and we started hosting them at the office. And then COVID hit.
Awesome. Yeah.
And we used Teams, and it was so easy to just bring that online and start doing webinars with up to 10,000 attendees. And I figured out the platform through Infusionsoft and how to link in registration pages and build all that out.
Nice.
And so we started doing webinars, and all of a sudden we've got hundreds of people attending our webinars.
Yeah.
And now I've recorded these, and I'm offering them up for free through our social and whatever. And people are loving the webinars. And the theory for the webinar was simple. I'm going to curate it. I know some great experts. And so I'm going to bring them in, host them, and they're going to talk about what they do for business owners in a non-salesy kind of way. Just be helpful, right? Give people the information they need.
Yeah.
We hosted one on the Canadian emergency wage subsidy. I posted like crazy about all the government benefits that were coming out.
Yeah.
So just all these little ways that we can be helpful to people, and it's really paying off. Like the market is really responding well to our efforts for that.
Yeah.
The interesting point, though, is that the average practitioner who's up to their eyeballs in tax returns is never going to have time to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Early on, a couple of years back, our team made the decision with me that they would take on my workload effectively and give me the breathing room that I needed, that we needed to go and do these types of things without having to get bogged down with compliance jobs.
Yeah.
And actually, do some leading here. And so I really got to hand it to my team for that, because they had to pick up a lot of slack. I had a pretty sizable business that I was working on. And that's not to say, I mean, I review all the complex matters that go through the firm, but they've freed up a tremendous amount of my time by taking on a lot of the workload so that I can focus on this stuff. Right. So.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, that makes a huge difference, especially when you have the bandwidth to be able to focus on that stuff. Now, is there, one specific question? You mentioned obviously a lot of compliance work and trying to, again, really be true to your mission of helping people. I mean, one of the things that we talked about, I recall, when this all started was, really shifting to, where can we move from actuals and historical reporting, which doesn't really help us in an environment where we don't know what the heck is going on, to starting to building out, future projections and stuff like that. So what have you guys kind of built into your playbook around that side? Because that's obviously the question that we get all the time is, how do I, navigate the next 3 to 6 months, if not 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And if you're picking up a tool like Spotlight, one of the main features and one of the main reasons that we're in the bookkeeping business now, where we never were before, is because we need control of the data, because the data that's coming in needs to be good and clean and, in a format that you can work with. If you've got a bunch of disjointed data, you're going to spend so much time cleaning that data up that it's almost, it's a real challenge. And so that's why we're doing bookkeeping now for our clients and really trying to keep them up to speed. Not only that, we're doing clean cutoffs where, it's by the 15th of the month. If you're participating, I'm speaking to the client now, your books are going to be clean and up to date. now that facilitates forward-looking projections, right?
Yeah.
And the discussion around your actual results is way more meaningful. You know, for years we sat in a room with people who were hopefully no more than 3 months after the year end, talking about things that ended 3 months ago, and trying to plan for the next 9 months. You know, there's a 3-month lag in there. If you're lucky, a lot of people go right out to the 6-month deadline, which is terrible. And so those aren't meaningful conversations. At least they're harder. And if we've got live real-time data, now we can plug in a tool like Spotlight and give them some discussion points. And so in our playbook, when all this hit, we just said, full stop, any of our clients who wants a forecast, call us. It's free.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
Really?
You know, this stuff normally costs a lot of money, but we'll run a couple scenarios for you for free. Right.
Awesome. Yeah.
And, you know, some clients took us up on that. And George had to put in some overtime hours, hammering out some forecasts. But we layered in things like, let's assume you get access to the government programs. Let's assume you have to shutter your doors until July 15th. Like, we ended up opening earlier than everybody thought, I think, in Alberta here. But, you know, let's put in some of these assumptions. We had one case where an optometrist client of ours, their lawyer told them to shut their doors and walk away. Right? That's not. And I'm going, well, just hold on here. You've got a real nice business. Let's just do a forecast for you. Right? And the tool allowed us to get through the forecast way quicker than we would have been able to otherwise. And the real-time data, the bookkeeping end, you know, made that way easier to manage on the front end because we've got clean data coming in. So,
well, and that's, I mean, I think that really is some very interesting things to think about there, because you guys really have put that need of helping, you know, these customers in this kind of environment front and center. You know, even if it's not exactly ideal for you guys, it's front and center because it aligns with your mission and values. But then obviously that translates hopefully to client work afterwards, because that generates, you know, hopefully new engagements or potential new customers outside.
I have to tell you, you know, sort of, it was initially a tough sell for the team, right? I'm going to them saying, people need some forecasts. I think we should do this for free for everybody who's been a loyal client of ours. And the team's going, like, we're already running hard. It's tax season. Clayton, like, what are you doing to us here? And I ended up winning that argument. It didn't end up being much of an argument, because you go back to vision. When you got your mission, vision, and core values sorted out, you go to the wall. They're printed. Our mission, vision, and core values are up on in our front reception in big signs. And you go there and you ask the boss. That's the boss. I'm not the boss. That's the boss. And the boss says this is the right thing to do. So let's do this, right?
Awesome.
But, yeah, it was a tough sell initially.
Totally.
Another one we did was we donated for the first 50 new clients through the door. We donated their personal tax filing fee, the base personal tax filing fee, to the food bank.
Awesome.
And I think we blew that out of the park. Like, it was so many new personal tax clients this year. It was crazy. I don't know if it was a result of that program, but it sure felt good for the team when we walked over to the food bank with a giant check and handed it to them. You know, so.
That's so awesome. That's such a great story. Well, with that in mind, love to see kind of what you guys are doing and everything. So maybe we can take a look potentially here at a sample and see kind of what you guys are doing, and you can talk us through that really quick, if that's okay.
Yep, can do. You got to stop, and then I'll share here. So, this is a sample report that we show to optometrists in particular. Have you got my screen there?
Yep, I can see it there.
With the report. So, I guess plugging Spotlight, it's a great tool, and we were able to customize it to look, this suits our branding. It just screams about us. It's just, we're being helpful here. So let's get into it, right? Right on the main page, we state some general assumptions, right? So some goals and assumptions. What are we going to do for revenue? What's happening with revenue? What are some observations? We can manually key these in for people. Now, Spotlight's something. It's great. I don't want to say that it's everything, though, and not to devalue the product. It's amazing. But this is to facilitate a conversation. That's
Yeah.
all this is to do. This
Yeah.
is to say, I'm sitting across from my client and I'm armed now. I
Yep.
went to school for a long time to be able to tell you things that you don't know about your business.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So here we are. And now I've put some thought into it other than the financial statements, which are great. And that's, they get those every year and a good accountant can work their way through it. But this is just extra ammunition.
Yeah.
So, we get into revenue by service line. Did you know that your exams made up 65% of your revenues this year and that, non-prescription glasses made up 2.2%? Did you know that you paid out $360,000 in direct wages? Did you know that your prescription purchases were $182,000, which were 15.4% of your top line? So we can get into all those details, and that's great. We're showing you your financial statement here, which we could do otherwise. It maybe be summarized differently. But where the real fun stuff comes in is to say, here's where your cash went.
Yeah.
Right. And it's in a nice visual representation. You brought in this much, your cost of sales were this much, your overheads were this much, you got this much left over. How much more sense does that make to, your average entrepreneur, small business owner? As a percentage of revenues, it's kind of neat seeing them up in the financial statements, but isn't it neater seeing them in a pie chart? Or we've got optometrists always ask us for wages as a percentage of sales. And it's actually a really interesting metric to look at. And so how are we doing? And by the way, how does that compare? These numbers don't make sense, points of a percent. So need to tweak something in the report. But how does that compare to your other optometrists? We've got we've got a few optometrist clients. And so we can talk about that. We can talk. Sorry, go ahead.
Especially, and sorry to cut you off. Especially in general, this is just a sales deck. This is a sales report that shows them here's what's possible and what we can do and why it's
totally.
And just even being able to get away from just, the tables, obviously brings a lot more insight and everything. So you have expense charts here as well. What's going on here?
Yeah. Same thing. What are your top 5 expenses? And to look at those numbers on a financial statement is one thing, but to see some pretty colors in a graph, people just digest that easier. Think about a builder or a general contractor seeing their profitability by project throughout the year in graphical format. Think of Aiken Henderson saying, we've got a tax service line, we've got a compliance service line, we've got a managed financial services service line, which is what we call our automated bookkeeping solutions. How are each of those doing as a service line? And the leaders of each of those departments get to see that graphically, and it affects how they get paid. It's just so much nicer to be able to present this stuff to your client rather than the stuffy old financial statement. Another thing that we've been doing a little bit of, which is really interesting, is we've been providing some keyed in specific reporting to banks, and we've gotten relaxations on financing terms as a result of having solid real-time financial reporting. They're going, holy crap, we don't get this stuff from our clients, right? So,
wow. That's great. That's great. Well, cool. Well, thank you very much for showing that. And what I can do is I can flip back over to our deck here and keep things going. I think probably the next question while I'm shifting over here, Clayton, what are some of the results that you guys have seen as far as tangible, growth, obviously overall, but what's some of those insights given the reality that you guys have actually seen?
Yeah, the reality is I don't think we could have been more ready for what the market handed us in March. And because we went through this big rebuild, and it was sort of, we started in 2017, we're coming into 2019 going, where are the sales? Where are the sales? We're not really growing that much, although we haven't focused externally on selling and marketing and bringing in new clients. We've been focused on our own internal rebuild. But when it came time to start going on sales, say last summer, a year ago, where are the sales, right? It was pretty hard for us to get at because we didn't have direction. But it became really easy in March because there was lots of ways to help people, and it was the ability to do it online it was
Hmm.
so easy. You know,
Yeah.
here's information.
Yeah.
Here's information that you need in a way that's easy to digest it. Now we talk about results. The results are in January or December, we had a mailing list of like 160 people. I think we're up to 1,800 now.
Nice.
You know,
Nice.
yeah, we had, you know, if we look at our followers online, it's like they've grown exponentially, and people are looking at us now going, well, these guys are real contenders in the space, and they're actually helping. They're actually helpful. This isn't just about Aiken Henderson. This is about their clients. And when you read
Yeah.
the reviews, we ask for reviews like crazy. And when
Yeah.
you read the reviews, we're at like a 90+% satisfaction score. And the things that people are saying about us are really nice. So that's a result where our clients are going, you know what, I'm thrilled with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a performance metric of ours. People at our firm get paid based on how happy their clients are,
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
what matters.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
so, you know, that's a result. And then if you look at, you know, if you just want to talk about raw sales growth, I just had a
Sure.
look at this because we do have real-time data and we know our numbers at June 30th. And we've grown by 25 to 30% in the first half of this year
Wow.
on our total top line. So it's really resonating. And the ability, the work's out there. It's a big pie, and the
Yeah.
work's out there. It's just really finding what you do well, codifying that, and acting on it, and delivering that to your clients.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Well, again, really appreciate it. And, you know, it's certainly, even from my perspective, it's always inspirational to see great work that's being done. And it's so great that you guys are so grounded in the values as well, because that sounds like everything trickles down from that in every single aspect and everything that you guys do. And that really translates not only to, you know, dollars and cents, but to actual happy customers as well. And happy customers, well, that's hard to come off, you know, right now and pull off
Oh,
right now.
it's not. It's not.
Mhm.
Be helpful. People need help. Just be
Yeah.
helpful. You got so much. We have the knowledge and the ability to help people through this. Now, I can't personally see all of the clients through it, but we can put feelers out to see who wants the help. That's
Right.
easy to do. Like, just do that for your clients. They need you right now, and
Yeah.
you have the knowledge and the tools to help them get through this, and make a path through it, and make a plan through it. And
Perfect.
so, yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Well, you know, obviously, you know, I would love to hear kind of your recommendations. Usually what I recommend, you know, if folks are going through, obviously, you know, similar transitions, looking at Spotlight to get up and started, you know, like we did when we started with just, you know, a core, you know, group of clients that you guys wanted to focus on. And that's current clients, but, you know, potentially new clients. But, you know, whether you could be currently using Spotlight as well on the reporting side. But I mean, it sounds like from your perspective, forecasting has been kind of like a big pivot point for you guys to really start pushing that and putting that front and center in a lot of your conversations with your clients. Is that,
Yeah,
would you agree?
yeah. I would say that, even just offering the free forecast,
Yeah.
you know, just
As like the carrot, basically.
well, and you know what, most of them won't keep going with it because they don't want to, you know, they don't want to pay what it actually, you know, what we'd actually charge to get through that, and that's fine.
Sure.
A few will, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it really, it taught us how to use the tool way better. We
Yeah.
got really good at it during that period,
Yeah.
and we're achieving our vision. Which, good things happen when you stay on vision. So when you stay on mission. So,
Totally. Totally.
but in terms of coming into Spotlight, I think that, um, you know, if you're a compliance firm and you're used
Yeah.
to having year-end meetings with your clients, and you don't even want to go into forecasting, if you just want to go basic, this really is a tool that allows you can design a template report that you send out for an industry, right? We go industry specific, like that's a good idea to do, but you could even start as just a blanket template report to
Yep.
turn the financial statements and what you're discussing and what you see in your head as an accountant individuals for your client. And you
Yep.
do that for every client, and you tack on a charge for that. And people are so happy to pay it because they go, last year sucked compared to this. This is way better. I have a
Yeah.
way better understanding of my business now than I did when we did this last year. I heard you saying all those things, but my head was spinning,
Yeah.
right? Thank you for the visuals. Can I take this with me? Yes, you
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well,
And
and
then if you
that's,
want to get into forecasting, do it. But
and
you know, as just an entry point, the reporting is
yeah.
outstanding.
Well, and that's why that kind of, pitch deck is really critical, because it obviously empowers someone like yourself to be able to talk about the potential and how that relates to them specifically. So I really like that you guys are using that kind of sales pitch deck as the potential, as part of, what it would be a part of your services and everything. So,
Well,
and
and I mean, Patrick, when we're on a hiring mission now again. We've
yeah,
hired a few people in the last few months, but once we get the resources that we need in place,
yeah,
one of these reports going to start going on the first financial statement of every single client, whether they're
yeah,
paying for it or not. They're going to
yeah,
see this for themselves. It'll be optional to pay for it. That'll just be an option to pay for it. And then if they want it going forward, they can have it at a charge. So that's pretty simple, right?
yep,
Just put it at the beginning of every one, even if it's a template, because people
yep,
will see that and they'll go, hey, this looks great. Can we customize this a little bit? Sure, you can.
yep.
Right.
Glad
Like
you
that's
asked.
pretty easy to do. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, obviously some great stuff here. A few other recommendations that I certainly, see that has been helpful is role playing with staff, as well, as you kind of, because you don't want just one person like yourself, Clayton, to be able to do this. You got to have the staff do it as well. And as you're bringing on more and more folks, role playing is one of the biggest things that I've certainly seen that's valuable. Do you do that kind of thing with your teams, as far as kind of, again, talking about how to position things to your clients?
Hell yes, we do. Listen,
Awesome.
accountants are not, if an accountant is also a salesperson, they're generally a partner.
Yeah,
And those are rarities.
yeah,
But what you need to do is you need to trickle that mentality of providing more to your clients
right, right.
down through the whole organization, or in our case, horizontally through the whole organization.
Yeah,
And so that's a culture thing, right? And
yeah,
and part of that is role playing for sure,
yeah,
because everybody needs to be able to talk about this stuff, and in a way that doesn't make them cringe, because a lot of people cringe as soon as you start talking about raising a bill. And this
yeah,
isn't about raising a bill. This is about helping you understand your business better than you did last year, right? So,
exactly. And that,
and
and
yeah,
those,
the bill goes up when you do. Isn't that valuable? Yeah.
exactly. Well, in the narratives, I think that's the last point here, really help that, not only on what other clients are able to do with you, but I think more importantly, what the narrative is with that particular client, and why it's important to their business to understand all these different elements and have that type of relationship with you guys. And I think that's, so powerful in creating that value, like you're talking about, to clients, because there's honestly a human connection outside the technology.
That's a really interesting point. This tool helps you understand your client in a way that you probably didn't before either.
Yeah, yeah,
So
certainly.
when we're talking about narrative, you're learning your client,
Yeah,
and your client wants you to learn them at
yeah,
the level that these reports are. They want you to be thinking about them, and that level. That's what clients want, right?
yeah.
Tax returns are nice. We do that, but they want you on their team, right? So, and this really empowers that, and the narrative is exactly, that's exactly what you're talking about.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, with that, again, Clayton, really great to talk to you about this. Thank you so much for sharing. And again, keep up the great work, because as much as it's, you guys are, in Alberta and everything like that, you guys certainly are impacting, much further and beyond. And I think, not just firms, but also direct businesses, they need folks like you guys. So, again, keep up the good work, and always appreciate you adding a little bit of insight into what you guys are doing and what your playbook is, as we kind of
Yeah,
navigate things going forward.
thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you about this.
Perfect. And just as a last thing, again, on our last slide, what would you recommend as far as if folks wanted to reach out to you guys, talk to you a little bit more, maybe even learn more about what we discussed, but even learn about kind of the services that you guys are providing at Aiken Henderson?
Yeah, so our website is aikenhenderson.ca. My last name is spelled A-C-H-E-N. Henderson is just spelled Henderson. So aikenhenderson.ca. Our website is pretty great. It's an encyclopedia of knowledge about tax and accounting and all things like that. And it really gives you a good idea about what we do. For practitioners out there, if anybody wants to chat, I mean, just give me a call. You can ping us through our website or email info at Aiken Henderson, and our engagement coordinator will put you in touch with me directly. And I'm happy to have a chat with you about your firm and what you're doing and anything. You know, we're transparency is one of our core values, so I'm happy to chat with anything that we're doing anytime. So.
Perfect, perfect. We'll certainly appreciate that. And yeah, well, we'll put it out a little bit further and maybe have a couple blogs as a follow-up as well.
Sounds
But
good.
again, really appreciate your time and looking forward to seeing where you guys are headed next.
Fabulous, Patrick. Thanks.
All right, have a good one. Bye now.
Bye for now.